Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Variety Gaming Podcast. Today's first episode is featuring the First Descendant. Later on, we have our first recurring segment, Game of the Season. I'm Atrax, joined by Rhaiu, my fellow host. Rhaiu, how's it going, and are you ready for the First Descendant? Tell us about this game.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm feeling good. So we have the First Descendant, developed by Nexon Games, also published by Nexon. It is a third-person looter shooter powered by Unreal Engine 5. Become a Descendant. Fight for the survival of humanity. Descendants have unique abilities to tackle both solo and co-op missions. Up to 4 players use varied mechanics to defeat giant bosses. Be the First Descendant. It is rated M for mature. It is on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S.
Look at that. If you're on Switch, sorry, you can't play it. But it's also free to play too, so you don't even have to pay if you want to get in on this. It's a good game, that's for sure. Like I said, it's our featured game for this episode, and later on we'll be getting into our game of the season. Find out what that is. Will it be First Descendant? Who knows? We're going to talk about the featured game first. I'm playing on PC. Now both of us have played the beta. Now I can't remember which betas did you. I only played in the second crossplay beta, and then the mechanical test that they had, which was only available for PC. Did you play all of them?
I did.
Okay, so you played all of them. I played 2 out of 3. So we both played this game quite a bit in beta. I personally thought that it was a lot smoother graphically. I'll talk about the graphics here really first, just because it's kind of what appeals, it's what you see. The beta was a lot smoother graphically than the launch. The really bad optimization for the first day or two of launch, at least for me, I was capped at 60 frames on high settings. But after a couple of hot fixes, I actually noticed a pretty good improvement. Now it's running really good. I can get 120 FPS on max settings, and I can go uncapped for higher, but I don't actually know what the average FPS is. And I have a pretty good system too. I've got a 4070 and an i9, so it shouldn't have a problem. Like I said, in the beta, I could run max settings, so it was super smooth. Now it's a lot better. I believe they must have done something with NVIDIA, because after one of the hot fixes, I noticed it suddenly appeared in my NVIDIA game optimization. Not that that really has anything to do with the game running, because I had the correct graphics driver updated, but maybe it just NVIDIA recognizes it better now and it works. I don't know entirely. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but it runs good now. So I'm happy about that. The first launch night though, launch week, I got the whale treatment launch night. I don't know if you had this problem, Rhaiu, but I was sitting there going, I need my caliber. I can't use my battle pass. I'm missing out on battle pass experience. 3 whole hours. No, I can't. Dang it. But then finally, 3 hours later, after playing the game for 3 hours, it was 3 in the morning, I finally got my caliber. So then I was very happy. But yeah, it was, I don't know. I was sad, and I know a lot of people. It's the whale treatment, but you know what? Hey, I had a whale of a time. I'm still enjoying it. I got my battle pass now. I haven't bought any skins yet, so I'm strictly battle pass so far. And I guess I did speed up Freyna, but oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, the first 6 hours were basically the same as the beta. In terms of launch week, it felt basically the same. All of the same missions, all of the same. You get the same weapon, the Thunder Cage, all of that stuff. But after those first 6 hours, the game really, really opened up. Then I was into new content. I was getting new characters, or getting pieces for new characters anyways, that I hadn't in the beta. Now I finally have my Freyna. Freyna was the character that I was really excited for. Um, love the toxic. Green is my favorite color, so green is always amazing. And it's the theme. She does damage over time. I found a cool SMG in the Python that I can now farm for. So leading from what was like the beta content for the first 6 hours now into the rest has been a blast. I will say though, moving kind of into some more stuff, the social menus and party system really, really need to be fine tuned for the longevity of the game. It's cool to have a party system that lets you do stuff, but I don't know. It's just it would be really nice to have an overarching, just like an overarching thing that would help. I don't know. You can. I'm sure you'll get into it a little bit more in your section too, Rhaiu. But just like, it really sucks. You have to be in the same area. You have to be in all of that stuff. I don't know. It's interesting. I will say, in terms of the missions, because you have to be in the same area, like the party system, just it's cool because people can just, oh, hey, I can join a mission. I can just do some damage and join the mission. It's cool because then friends and party members, you can just assist each other when you're farming, all of that good stuff. But I don't know. Now it's just other people, when you're playing solo, can just join randomly at the end of the mission and loot all, or they don't goon your loot, but they just get free stuff for doing basically nothing. So that kind of sucks. But other than that, I mean, it's cool because you can pre-phase people. So like one person can stand here, one person can stand here, and you can, oh yeah, I'll shoot this thing, and then I join the mission. You shoot this thing, and then you join the mission. Only one person has to start the mission, and it can be faster, but that like phase of randoms just sitting at the end, that's kind of rough because then you do all the work, they get all the fun. They get all the rewards for killing elite bosses. But that's okay. It is what it is. It's my again, these are just my initial thoughts coming off of the launch week. And it's been it's been good. It's been a good launch week. How about yourself, Ryu?
It's been good. Launch week has lived up to the hype and the expectations for me. With gaming nowadays, I feel that, especially for multiplayer games, servers now are always going to be an issue, especially for a game that's been hyped up like the First Descendant has been. I know I've done my own hyping of the game, trying to get as many people I know involved into it. Obviously, you have the marketing team that did their wonderful job with Summerfest, and the social media team and the Discord and all that kind of stuff, that they promoted the heck out of this game. But the server crashes, the downtime for, was it 6 hours, 7 hours on the launch of it,
Yeah.
that really kind of, again, I expected it, but I know a lot of other people were like really impatient about it. There were some not so nice words thrown in their Discord and on social media, and I feel people need to just expect that with large titles like this. Servers are going to take a hit. That's going to be the focus for every game. So, at least on that launch week. Other than that, games lived up to expectations. As I mentioned, I did play all the betas leading up to it. Everything feels a lot different, in a good way, not in a bad way. I'm not really a graphics person. I'm more of a performance. I want the game to run smoothly. I want my steady 60 frames. So I put all my graphics on potato. So that's just...
All right.
I've played everything from Call of Duty to MMOs on potato graphics. The only game I will play on high resolutions are more single-player RPGs, just because it's more visually appealing at that point. But so haven't had any issues with frame drops. I know when I started playing X Defiant, when that game launched, I had frame drops immediately and still do. So I kind of buried that. But here with First Descendant, I haven't had any issues. The guns sound and feel a lot better than they did in the beta, in all of them. So I've been very impressed with that and very happy to see that. I did buy the battle pass. It's $10, which seems to be the standard. There are a few outliers. I know like New World had a $20 battle pass. So
Destiny has a much more expensive battle pass too. Yeah.
so $10. I feel comfortable with that. It's a free game. Throw $10 at them, support it. I feel like I've got my money's worth out of it, even though it is cosmetics. But I've definitely want to invest in the game a little bit. But my goal is to spend as little money as possible on skips and items. I want to fully experience the grind. You have your hard grind for your descendants, you have your ultimate descendants, your ultimate weapons. I want that. I need that grind for the game. That's the content this type of game is about. It's a looter shooter. You can pay your way through it. It's more of a pay for convenience type thing. I want to experience it. So I will shell out some money for cosmetics and things that I want. Obviously, I'm going to buy the battle pass when it comes out. Every time they release a new one, I'm going to be contributing to the developers that way, but I want to get that full experience for it. You mentioned the social menu. That 100% needs work for longevity and just for simplicity. So when adding friends on the game, if they're not like in your instance, like going and specifically keying in, if I was not a part of the beta, I would not know where to go to find those last 4 digits of my gamer tag to give people what my code is. Like, and it might be a little bit different on, it is different on PS5. It's like right there, but on PC, it's just really weird. You have to click on your inventory, and then it's up in the left-hand corner, and then you can tell your friend what that is, but then to add it, you need to go to your map menu and then go over to your social menu. Then you can type it in. I don't like going through 2 different screens to add friends. I feel that my gamer tag, the social menu should all just be right there together.
And there's no social button either. There's no like button to bring up the social menu.
Yep. That needs to be adjusted too, so we can just jump to that screen.
Yep.
One thing I did appreciate about the social menu, when you hover over your friends list, you can heart certain friends that you've added, so they will always be at the top of your list. So if there's a person or a group of people that you're gaming with consistently, but let's say you just have random encounters where people perform well and you may want to group up with them in the future for something, but it's not like that kind of a relationship, it makes it easier to manage your friends list, I felt. So I like that feature. I started with Viessa, the Frozen Queen. I loved her character and the abilities from the betas.
Yeah, I also started with Viessa.
Yeah, Viessa is a really fun character to play with. I do plan on getting her ultimate version. I don't know what her best loadout is as far as weapons, modules, implant. I don't know what all of that is. So I'm looking forward to trying out different things, seeing what flows together nicely for my particular play style. The one thing I wasn't aware of, and I should have been, there's a limit on how many descendants we can currently have. Now, there's 19 in the game, including the ultimate ones right now. They are planning on releasing more descendants in the future. I think actually in August, Luna is going to be the first additional one added. So as that number continues to grow, as a player, unless you are willing to spend the money to purchase descendant tickets, it's going to be a little difficult for you to pick and choose your descendants that you want, because you have the base versions and you have the ultimate versions. And if you're a completionist or a collector type of person when it comes to these games and you want to have a base version and an ultimate version, they do take up 2 slots for a base and an ultimate version, so you have to take that into account. That I didn't know about. So Force of Habit, I just kind of went through just like I did in the betas. Unlocked Bunny, just out of habit. She's not my favorite character. Very overhyped in my opinion and overplayed. Again, from the betas, and that's all you see in public groups and running around Albion is bunnies. It's like, Lord. And then especially when you have, the poster child with the bunny skins that you've probably seen rolling around social media, where you can, get her close enough to her birthday suit, helps everybody out. But no, it's Definitely not my favorite, but I do have her. I'll keep her on. I've got her maxed out just so that way I have her as a lightning based descendant, so I can farm other things with her. She's really good to farm with. Clearing waves of trash mobs and stuff like that. She's really, really great for that. But just single target bursting, going in for boss fights, she's not that good. So my next goal, though, is to have Eugen, who is the dedicated healing descendant. He is going to take some time to get. He's further on into the end game, so I've got a lot of progression I need to get through to get to him. But I feel like having a support descendant is going to be of high importance, especially for grinding later content. It makes it a little easier having a dedicated support, especially if you're in random groups. I feel that either a healing descendant or a tanking descendant like Ajax is going to be that almost like the necessity in a group for those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice to have that. And then in addition to getting Bunny maxed out, I went ahead and maxed out Viessa, of course. So that's nice. The grind is great. I'm grinding out Freyna just so I can have the mastery rank grind continue, and using her to farm those void missions that require the toxic descendants. Big necessity for her. So plus she looks fun. I mean, you've played her. I've seen you play her a lot. She looks like a lot of fun. So I'm excited to get her finally.
Lots and lots of fun. I throw a lot of dots out with Freyna, which is great. Her poison, at least in comparison to Viessa, which we both chose as the intro character. You know, Viessa has like her Q that she throws out, or her first ability that she throws out, but it has a range. Freyna's doesn't have a range, and that has so far been my most favorite thing about it. Because like Viessa's great, but the fact that her ice shard doesn't go until it hits something drives me up a wall. But Freyna, both of her poison clouds will have an extended range. So yeah, I think you'll have fun with Freyna for sure.
Yeah, and out of habit, I always forget that her ice throw, her Q, or her first ability you get when you unlock her, doesn't have that full range. So I'll just like throw it while I'm like flying above this one enemy, and it just like bursts like right before it. I'm like, oh, that's frustrating.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Yep.
No, granted,
Totally
I don't
with
even
ya.
really use that ability anymore. I feel like I mainly stick with her third ability, which is the ice ground, and then her movement speed, which freezes enemies as they touch it. So, and then of course her ult. But no, the grind has been fun to do. RNGesus doesn't exist. He's a myth made up for all of us to hope and pray and plead to the RNGesus that we get something, and I'm convinced after this game he's not real. It doesn't. I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
man. So when you hover over the missions, each one of them gives you a percentage drop chance for whatever it is that for that mission. And when you get to start farming things, you specifically want to look at that. Well, for the Thunder Cage, the first legendary weapon you're given, 20% drop chance outside of the mission to go grind the parts for Thunder Cage. You would think that 1 out of 5 runs, you're guaranteed to get it. Basic math. No. I've never had such bad luck. We did what? 10 to 20 runs for one piece. Couldn't get it.
At least. Yeah. Because I counted 10. Yep.
Yeah. Just no luck. Finally it drops. Finally. I'm like, oh, great. But then in order to max out the unique ability for your legendary guns, you have to grind those same parts again. So, and each unique ability can go up to a max of 4 times. So that's 4 parts for 4 parts. And it's just a pain because it's like you finally get the one piece, but then you have to wait. And then you go grind, and it never drops. And then you get it again. And you have to do it over and over and over again.
And I will say painful. That part of the grind where you have to go run them over and over and over, and you and I were running them over and over and over, that is where an advantage is for what I was complaining about earlier of players being able to join missions when they just do some damage. Because you, as the party leader, could jump back to the beginning of the mission, start it, and I could be there and start doing damage and just join that way. But which made the grind easier, but not easier on your RNG.
No, no. And if you're looking for advice on how to improve your RNG, you're not going to find it here. I have the worst RNG in this game. Atrax has moderate, and then our buddy Feta has the most insane amount of RNG luck I have ever seen.
Actually, I have some. I have to cut you off really quickly. I have some advice because before I forget it, the advice is just to queue with Rhaiu, and you'll get all the drops you need. Because, like you were about to say, Feta,
dude, immediately, we go to farm the Freya piece. He got it first pull, no issue. And I'm just like, I've been farming this for 2 hours. I haven't gotten it once, and you're getting it on the first pull. And he has, so there's modules, red modules that are skill mods for specific descendants, and they're a 1% drop. Now this is how messed up my RNG is. I have 4 of them for characters I don't even plan on using, just sitting there. And then you have Feta, who's gotten duplicates of mods that I want for descendants I use that he's not going to use. This game needs a trading system badly.
that would be very interesting.
Oh man. Like, at least incorporate it like Warframe's trading system. Let me use premium currency to trade people for the 1% drop that they're not going to use, or this module of this gun that they're not going to use. Like, let me do that at least.
Yeah, that would be cool to see. That would absolutely. I would agree, because I have a bunch of these Thunder Cage nanofibers. It was the fibers. I've got, I think, 7 left after fully upgrading my Thunder Cage from when we were farming them. Yeah. Like, I would love to be able to trade those away. I suppose I could still use them and just try and get a god roll on Thunder Cage, but
if that's what you want to do, I mean, they're there. You have them.
True, but I have to farm the other pieces.
I'm not farming it again.
I was gonna say, you want to come with? I need some more.
I mean, a couple of our other buddies have to get it as well. So I mean, I'm gonna be farming it regardless. And that's something too that I would just tell people: don't be afraid to go grind the stuff, because even though you may not get the drop that you want, you're still getting the materials for things that you're gonna need later on. I think the precision pieces for upgrading weapon levels, that's something you're going to need if you find a gun that you like, a legendary gun, specifically a legendary gun that you enjoy. Dismantle everything, take those mats, go research them. It takes 10 minutes to get it, but then you can gradually continue to use that legendary weapon that you like, that works for you, in that further content. I know, like, my Thunder Cage is currently level 54 just from, dismantling it, making that one piece that takes 10 minutes, moving the weapon up. And it doesn't change the specific stat line. I want to make that clear. It only increases the DPS because it's increasing the level of the gun. So use that for everything. Even though you're not getting your drop, it's still a good way to get the match you need.
And you can still re-roll the attributes to level them up too. Once you level it from, like, let's say, for example, it's level 1, and you make it from 1 to 20, the roll attributes on the gun will be level 1 attributes. So you need to re-roll your attributes. But you can either re-roll them all at once, or if you find something that's actually pretty decent, you can lock it off, which is also important for those crafting materials that you were talking about. So there's no research limit. So like you were saying, Ray, you just, if you can research it, and you can, I had 5 going at one time, 5 different researches going at one time. You can't research more than one of the same thing, but I think I had Freyna, the Thunder Cage, the phase reactors, some ion accelerators, and something else going on. and they were all researching at the same time. So don't be afraid to research those maths because yeah, break down your weapons you don't use and upgrade the ones you really like.
Yep, and do that with your modules. The spare modules that you're going to get duplicates of for your descendants, for your weapons. Do that because you're given the currency you need to upgrade specific modules that you want to keep. So if you want shields or health, or if you get, again, the transcendent mod that I talked about before, you need that resource, that currency for mod upgrades to upgrade those transcendents. And that's going to be important whenever you're trying to do specific builds for yourself, because the cost of the modules goes up, goes down. It changes the effects of how much, how little, the range. It's very important that you look at that if you really want to fine tune a specific build for yourself for whatever content it is. If you don't, if you find yourself struggling with it, take a minute, look at the stuff, look at it and read it. For the time being, I would, say use the recommended one and just throw it in there so you can keep pushing the content if you want to. Otherwise, look for those things. It's no different than, Wayfinder and Warframe and any of these looter shooter grinding that has modules in it. You'd have to read.
Yeah. And if you happen to be new to looter shooters and you've made it this far into the episode, congratulations, don't give up, because it's a grind, and there's, like you said, there's modules for your, I can't remember. Oh, I had a list. I sent it to my friend just a couple hours ago, and I listed out literally everything that you have to keep track of. You have to keep track of gun modules, descendant modules, weapon proficiency, weapon levels, unique abilities, descendant level, and your mastery level. Those are all things that you can improve, and they all kind of more or less feed into each other. You can increase your weapon level and your descendant level and your mastery level, which lets you get more gun modules and descendant modules. And it occurs to me here that I didn't even include the now I forgot it again. There's another thing to level up too. What did I forget? Gun modules, descendant modules, weapon proficiency, weapon level, unique abilities, descendant level, mastery level. Oh, and there are also your reactors and your external components. That's what I forgot. The externals and your reactors. So all of those things contribute to your level, to stuff like that, and it can be incredibly overwhelming as a new player, even as a returning player to the looter shooter. There's just so many different systems to focus on.
Yeah, and that's, if you are new, like A-Track said, definitely don't give up on it. It is a lot of information to retain, to hold on to. Make yourself a spreadsheet, make yourself a list. I know it sounds like, oh man, going too in depth with it, but it helps. It makes everything easier. Like I've created a spreadsheet for us and with the Variety Gaming podcast. I've shared that with other communities for them to, contribute to it as you're playing the game. Just if you want something, take a look at it, see if it's already on there to make it easier for yourselves. If there's a gun that you like, use it. As you level it up and your proficiency gets higher, the capacity for those mods goes up, and it helps tremendously. But don't give up. Find people that you like. If it's us here at the Variety Gaming Podcast, you want to jump in and hang and, play with us, look us up, Rhaiu and A-Trax. We're everywhere. It's typically our go-to tags. So, I personally have no problem running low-level missions with people. There's probably a weapon I need to upgrade or a new descendant I need to level. I'm perfectly fine rerunning content. It doesn't matter to me. I need the materials.
I was just about to say, all those low-level guns give you so many great materials. If you know you're running low-level missions, put all of the stuff you want to keep into your storage box. Just completely empty your inventory, and then all of this low-level stuff you don't want, and you can just designate all as junk, scrap all, and get so many sweet materials.
Yeah, it is nice. What now? I'm playing it not just on PC. I've also been playing it on PS5. Cross progression, it is a part of this game. Yeah, I believe it's going to be a part of every game like this. So I'm really glad that Nexon included it in this game. Linking the accounts with the PS5 and the PC was very simple. I didn't have any troubles with it. Linked immediately, and I booted it up. I had everything. I was on the same missions. Perfect. No issues whatsoever with that. One thing I will say, it is going to take time getting used to it on a controller, as opposed after playing it on PC for over 30 hours. I've got to fix the sensitivity with the controller because I feel like I'm being frozen when I'm trying to like turn the camera or do things like that. It just excuse me. It just feels a lot different than on PC, and I can feel the aim assist as I'm playing. I did just a
Really?
avoid fisher mission with Bunny just to see, and I don't like it.
Huh.
I really don't. I didn't aim down sight when I was using the gun. Now I was using a hand cannon, so there's not much ADS to it. I felt the aim assist. I was like, I don't like it. Like I would see that reticle just drag over a little bit. I'm like, I don't like how that feels.
Wow.
It's really weird.
These console players don't know what it's like to fight the recoil.
Dude, and it's oh man, it feels and this is even with this game, I don't aim down sight a whole lot unless like the target's a little bit further away because I use SMGs, so I'm running, I'm just spraying and moving and doing all the other things that we do in the game. I didn't like it. I don't like it. Even not aiming down sights, I feel the drag more. So it takes some getting used to with that, but as the game rolls on, as the season rolls on, I'll be alternating between the two platforms just to see, if there's a patch note that specifically addresses PS5 or PC. Like I want to get to see if I could feel or tell the differences on the changes.
That'll be exciting. I have a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One X. So in theory, I could play it like on I could play it on console if I really wanted to. But my PC's just too good to be able to, like for me to merit playing it on console, but I'm interested to see more of how it plays on PS5, and I might need to pull my controller out to see this aim assist that you're talking about that is so ridiculous because I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that either because I played with a lot of PlayStation players, and now it kind of makes sense why their damage is so good because they just can lock on all the time. I don't know.
Credit to PlayStation and Xbox players. I don't know how you do it. It doesn't like I was just the button combinations for the abilities, the grappling ability, the toggle with the sprint, it felt so foreign to me. Like I just couldn't get comfortable with the controls. I couldn't get comfortable with the speed of the game. That's something else too. The speed at which the enemies move and the fluidity of their movements to me on controller was so bad. I felt like you ever like hand a controller to a kid or an older person for the first time and they just kind of sit there and they're like, oh, here's how I turn the camera and that's how I felt with waves of enemies just coming at me. Now, thankfully, I was in a low level area, so I could just kind of like get a feel for it. But the special missions that are the defense based ones, I can't imagine harder hitting enemies with that sort of limitation. Felt so off.
Interesting. So maybe it's not an advantage after all. Maybe it's a disadvantage. Constantly being stuck by the auto aim. Just
I couldn't
aim
wrap
slow
my
as molasses. Who knows? That'd be interesting to see. I also wonder if you can you turn the auto aim off for a controller? Do you know?
I haven't looked in the
that
settings.
would be
I'll have to
interesting
check.
too. I know some games have been doing that now too, where they don't even like technically they might have an auto aim, but it's either so minute you don't notice it, or it's off by default. So I wonder.
And that's something too. I don't really go that far into the settings outside of the graphical things. I like testing controls out with default stuff and seeing if it feels comfortable and feels natural to the game. Which in this case it does. The only thing I would say on PC I need to adjust is ability locations, because especially with Viessa, I'll go to hit C for the default or second ability for her movement speed, and I'll end up throwing out the ice, throwing out her ice path to damage enemies, and it's like, oh nope, didn't want to do that, and I've already lost the MP for it. So,
Ooh.
yeah, it's stuff like that. Like even with Bunny, like I'll do the same thing. I'll want to do the big AOE for her, but then I'll end up like sprinting, and I'm like, I didn't want to do that. So,
oops, I did it again. Clicking the wrong button. I mean, I do that too, especially when I swapped from V to Freyna, and I would I don't know, oh yeah, I click my E and it's just a wall that like lifts up from the ground, right? And then I aim like directly at somebody and I just throw a poison at them, a poison pool. It's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that actually. Shoot, I probably should have thrown that at the ground, not directly in the air. My bad. Oops. But one last thing I want to say too before I forget is I really see the opportunities for people to spend an insane amount of money on this game, because I believe the ultimate, just like the base ultimate edition for one of the characters, for like the ultimate V or the ultimate bunny or whatever, isn't it like $70? Like it's an insane amount of caliber.
yeah.
So people can spend a lot of money, even though I like that the battle pass is more or less the quote unquote standard $10. Like I think it's relatively decently priced. It's unfortunate that the caliber you get out of it isn't enough to pay for the next season's battle pass, but I don't know. I mean, they do kind of have to make their money some way. I mean, they're going to be printing money with this game, but I don't know. To me, it just feels like an unnecessary thing. Might as well just give us the caliber to get the next battle pass. But who knows? That's neither here nor there for me. But outside of that, there are some good skins. I think a majority of them are kind of average to me. I like the pajama one. I like the panda one too. I think those are clever. Those are good. But and again, that stuff is completely all subjective. You know, it's just a matter of what you prefer. I'm sure there are some people out there that really like what the skin shop has to offer for now. I think it's okay. I don't think it's terrible. I just think it's okay. But outside of that, you know, you can just straight up buy Descendants. The ultimate packs are insane. You can buy, I believe it's upgrade materials, not like blueprints or gun materials, but if you want to do what we were talking about, transfuse the level from like level 1 to level 50. And of course, you still need the base item that's at level 50 for that, but you can buy like the phase extractors, or I forget exactly what they're called. But I believe you can buy all of those upgrade materials. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. You can also pay, when you research stuff, you can pay Caliber to skip the wait. That's pretty standard for a free-to-play game, but I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities to whale in this game and spend an insane amount of money.
Yeah, the printing money, I think, is a great illustration for what they're going to be able to do with this game. The people that I've been playing with, and yourself included, that you know, wallets have already been opened.
Yep.
Like, I've seen people shell money so fast because it's like, I don't want to wait. Like I mean, you skipped Freyna, which is fine, but you grinded the parts. There are people who are like, I don't want to grind. I'm gonna go ahead and buy this guy. Or do I really? Let me just go ahead and pay for it. I'm just like,
I know an individual who has bought 2 ultimate versions so far.
That's crazy. And
yeah,
the funny thing
like
for me,
$140.
like the funny thing for me is there are other people who have yet to play the game that I'm really curious to see how long they go before they just buy.
I give it an hour.
Like I said, I live for the grind. I am all about it because at the end of the day, and everyone is open and able to play the game your way, however you want to do it. You want to pay your way through it, you want to grind your way through it, you want to run through story, focus on mastery, whatever. Play the game how you want to play the game. Don't feel compelled to do what content creators tell you to do. Oh, this is the best gun. Maybe for their play style, you might do better with another gun. Play the game your way. Enjoy what you enjoy with it. For me, grinding it, getting mastery ranks is something that I've enjoyed. Again, Warframe is another looter shooter very similar to this. It is a free-to-play system that does the same thing. You can pay it or you can grind it. You just have to do it. Just make your choice. So that's
Make
something I'm
your
looking
choice.
forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plans out because the game's been out a week at this point.
Yeah.
And people have already shelled out money. Like, it's going, a fire sale.
Right.
And that's something, too. I'm pretty sure that they will eventually have sales for Descendants, sales for skins, sales for weapons. They'll have more bundles that give you all this other stuff. So if you're a person who wants to pay for things, but you don't want to spend that much, just wait for the sales. They're going to happen. You just got to be patient.
Yep. And there will be more skins, more bundles, all of that stuff. Like you mentioned, it will be interesting to see how this game goes along, especially into the Battle Pass season, which brings us to our next segment of the show, our recurring segment, Game of the Season. Every episode we will have a recurring segment. It won't always be Game of the Season, but for our first episode, we will be doing Game of the Season. To quickly describe what is Game of the Season, it's exactly what it sounds like. Seasons will last 3 months. We'll be following the quote-unquote fiscal calendar, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've just started quarter 3 here in July. So season 1, well, our season, this Game of the Season here, will start here with us in July, and we'll go through to September. And then at the end of September, we will announce quarter 4's Game of the Season. So, yeah, it'll be a recurring segment on the show. The game will be featured at least one episode a month here on Game of the Season. We'll talk about our progress, how the game has aged for us as hosts, specific gaming news, any exciting stuff. It will be a good section of the show scheduled just for stuff like this. And, yeah, here is our first Game of the Season, the First Descendant. We'll be following it till at least September here on the show. And I mean, this whole episode, we've got the first episode of the show. It's the First Descendant. It's the first Game of the Season. Lots of firsts here. All sorts of good stuff. You love to hear about it. For me, the end of this first week, the launch week, I've got Freyna and V. I forget how to say her name. I'm just going to call her V. We literally practiced this before the show, and I still forgot. That's how much I forget.
To be frank, we had to Google how to pronounce her name. We've been calling her V.
Yeah, we've just been calling her V for short. I mean, it's easy, but like every time I read it, it messes me up. Viessa. I got level 40 Freyna and Viessa, so max level. And then I also have level 25 Bunny. My mastery level is level 11. I've completed my Thunder Cage. Its max proficiency along with its unique ability maxed out as well. Rhaiu and I did that farming. And I've got 30 hours of game time in the first week. I took Wednesday off. I had Thursday, Friday off. So that was great. I got 3 days straight to just play it. It released Monday night at midnight for me. I stayed up the first 5 hours of the launch and played it. Through a little bit of server issues, but then I logged in. I think I was logged in 5 minutes after it launched, and I played pretty much until it crashed. So I played for like 5 hours until servers crashed, and I was like, all right, I'll take a nap for an hour before I go into work because I knew I had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off to just play the game. So I was excited for that. And it's been great so far. I'm excited to see where the game goes. That's the end of my first week, really.
Well, that's good. End of my first week, I was unfortunate. I didn't have the luxury of getting half the week off for this. But I did have Thursday off as it was July 4th, so was able to get a nice 12-hour gaming session in. I stayed up till 5 a.m. pushing that game Wednesday. So 5 a.m. to Thursday. So, and then being able to get the gaming in after work, and then obviously this weekend I played a lot. I played up until 3 a.m. This morning. Slept, got up, did this, and gonna play some more. So a lot of gaming. I was able to cap Viessa and Bunny to level 40. So now farming Freyna to go ahead and get her up there as well. Gave me Mastery 11. I did max level Thunder Cage, Unique Max, Atrax. As you mentioned, we did that together, and both about the 30-hour game time. So it's been great. A lot of content to still do. Been able to take down a couple of the bosses together and separately. So I am pumped for the next boss, because the next boss is impervious, is not impervious. He's super weak to ice. I'm the only one that's got the ice chick maxed out, ready to roll. Ooh, it's gonna be fun.
It's good. So do you have all your reactors and everything too?
No, I don't.
So that's what you got to get next.
Yeah, I got to do reactors and get that upgraded, and I want to try to find. I feel like there's a gun somewhere that is more ice focused. Like Thunder Cage naturally has, like, obviously thunder with it, so it's going to work for electric types better. So I want to try to find an ice gun before I go take it on, if I can.
So that's where I'm at currently, where I've found my elemental. I'm so happy because I love SMGs, and it's an element. It's a toxic SMG. It deals toxic damage. It's called the Python. And I've already got one of the blueprints for it, but the next two blueprints are in. One of them is 2 areas away, I believe, and the other one is 3 areas away, I believe. So I have to grind through some of the story, and I have to also progress my guns, because currently I think my guns are around level 35 to 40, somewhere in between there. I think my lowest is 36, and my highest is 39. I think my Thunder Cage is 39, so I've got to upgrade some weapons before I can actually go into some of these other areas, because I'm kind of getting gooned. I mean, I'm not getting totally gooned. My defenses are good, but like it's becoming a struggle. It used to be really easy because I had a maxed out Thunder Cage, and now it's less easy than it was before. So I got to grind more so that it's easier again, because that's how this game goes. It's all about the numbers, baby. It's all about grinding for them numbers. So yeah, that's what I'm really hoping, maybe like by the time we have our next game of the season, if I don't have Python, I'm doing something wrong. I've fallen off. The game doesn't matter to me anymore if I don't have Python by our next game of the season segment next month. Because yeah. Whew.
Don't worry, I won't let that happen. I'm dragging you along for this. You're at least going to get through this season 0 with me. I'm not going to let you fall off.
No, we're getting through season 0 for sure. For sure. I'm excited for it.
Well, if you made it here, thank you guys so much for listening to the show with us. It's been a blast for Atrax and I to kind of kickstart this, talking about First Descendant, bringing in the game of the season with you guys, talking about our first weeks in the game, the things that we've done, the things that we're looking forward to. And, find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. You're listening to one of these channels, so go support the other 3 or other 2, and rate the show. Let us know what you think about it. Any feedback is appreciated. And if you want to get involved, tweet at us on X at Variety Gaming Podcast.
See you next week.